Hey, it's Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and today I'm doing part 2 of uneven productivity. So if you missed part 1, you can find a link to that in the description. And today is just going to expand on the idea of uneven productivity. Part 1 was basically like, let's work with our patterns and make the best of it and have self-compassion and embrace uneven productivity, which sounds great, right? And I stand by that. But part 2 is we have to be an adult sometimes, right? We have to, we're a parent and we have responsibilities. We've got to take care of our kids. We have to stay employed. So how do we manage uneven productivity and adulting? That's what part 2 is going to be today. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you could hit that subscribe button, that is a great gift that you can give to the channel. It also helps make sure that you stay aware of all of the content and resources that I put out for the autistic community. I'm a late diagnosed autistic mom of 2. I was diagnosed at 31, which is almost 3 years ago. My birthday's in March. And I'm so glad you're here. So let's jump right in. Uneven productivity is this idea that we might have really uneven bursts of productivity. So for many of us, we can go into this black hole of productivity, which somebody in the comments on the last video said supernova of creativity is actually more accurate because black hole is like the absence of things. I don't know, don't quote me on this, please. So a supernova of creativity where we just go full force, we can be maybe more productive than other people and get so much stuff done, but then after that, we're completely depleted. We might need days or a week of just not doing anything, almost sensory deprivation, low lights, not much sound, maybe darkness, being in our bed, that type of thing. So like I said, I'm a mom of 2 and I'm an entrepreneur. I get to run this channel and I work from home. So it's important that I can manage a schedule, right? Because I can't just stay in my supernova of productivity because I have to pick my kids up. So here are some ideas from myself and from within the community that could be helpful for transitioning between these states of uneven productivity. So first of all, it is really helpful to communicate with the people in your life about your patterns, right? And this typically, I would advise this happening not when you're in the middle of these bouts, right? Because whenever you're in that supernova, it's like a train that's left the station. Nobody's going to stop you. I'm mixing metaphors here. You want to communicate, have a conversation with the people who are important to you and let them know about your patterns. So you can let them know, hey, one of my patterns is that I can work for a really long time and it's really hard for you to get my attention because I'm so zoned in. But then that's going to be followed by this period of time where I just need lots of alone time and space. If you can start learning how to communicate those patterns to other people, it can help the other people close to you not take it so personally and also just kind of know what to expect. I would also suggest reinforcing that those relationships are important to you. You know, something like, hey, you're really important to me. I value our relationship. I can see how sometimes it might look like I don't care about you because I'm in the zone and not paying attention to you. But just know that's one of my patterns. I'm aware of it. I want you to feel valued. And I am taking active steps towards learning how to better manage this. You can say that in your own words. And again, I've told people before, like on the channel and in community groups, it's like the stuff I suggest is Disney language sometimes, right? Like I'm sitting here and I have time to think about this, how I want to say things. And it's like, this is the perfect way to say it. But give yourself grace because it usually doesn't come out like that in real life. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you like messed it up and you failed. It just means that you're a normal human being. Along with communication, something that really helps me is letting people know, like, if you need my attention, please tell me that you need my attention before you start sharing information with me, right? So if somebody walks into the office while I'm working and they, if one of my kids starts telling me all this stuff about their day, it's gonna be a minute before I come up for air and realize that they're talking to me sometimes, honestly. So, this might work better with an adult where you could say, hey, if you need my attention, can you say like, hey, I have a question for you. Do you have a second so that I can ask you? Something where you know that you're about to receive information, that could be really helpful. Also, I would highly suggest a buffer zone between your supernova productivity and your black hole rest. I guess we'll go with that for now. So if you just go straight from all this productivity, Like I kind of described it as the Tasmanian devil, if you're familiar with that cartoon, where I'm like sitting at the desk and I am crushing it. I'm getting so much done. I'm just spinning out as like Taz, the Tasmanian devil. And then if I just go into the kitchen and start making dinner, I'm going to be Tasmanian devil in a tizzy in the kitchen. And that energy is going to stay with me until the kids are in bed and I'm finally by myself with this, you know, with a chance to take a deep breath. So in order to break up that Taz energy, it's really important to have a buffer zone. So I'll go in the bathroom and just sit in my closet and I'll keep the lights off, and I will just even sometimes just do like the stereotypical autistic stare where I'm just like zoning out, right? I'm just looking in front of me. I'm zoning out. Nobody's talking to me. I'm not trying to accomplish anything. I might take some deep breaths. I might do some stretches. So have a buffer zone. Like don't try to go from one bout of productivity straight into another one. Also, if possible, plan your schedule to suit your needs. So I've talked with a lot of autistic entrepreneurs lately, which has been really cool. And when possible, I know this isn't going to apply to everyone, it can be really helpful to plan your schedule according to your patterns of uneven productivity. So somebody said in the comments on the last video that they schedule VIP days where their client knows that they're going to get all of their attention that day and they're going to tackle all of their objectives, but then they're going to be out of commission the rest of the week. Or somebody said they'll have like creative days where they'll schedule, you know, the first 2 or 3 days of the week, content creation, getting everything in a row and figured out. And then towards the end of the week, they just take some time off and know that there's nothing on the calendar. So easier said than done, especially for those of you who have schedules that you have to stick to. You have to go into work, you have to clock in, all of that. It can be a little bit more difficult of a process, but definitely knowing your patterns can help you plan in advance. So if you know you have a big work project due on Friday, you can store up spoons in advance. If you're not familiar with spoon theory, I'll put a link to the video at the top. But spoon theory is basically the idea that you only have a certain amount of energy every day, represented by spoons, and those spoons start getting spent by different activities. So if you know that you have an activity that's going to take a lot of spoons the next day, you can try to store up energy in advance the day before with some extra rest, some extra self-care time, extra time in nature. So being aware of what's on your schedule and planning ahead can be really helpful. Like for me, if there's a school event on the calendar or like a play date, and my daughter doesn't want me to call them play dates anymore because she's 9, so now they're hangouts. If there's a kid hangout on the calendar, I don't schedule anything the day before or after, because those are really, I love being able to do those things. Like I really enjoy having my kids' friends over at the house, but there's a cost to it for me. Like I have to make sure that I recover, because that's just a lot of social interaction for me. Another helpful tip that was shared with me is the idea of body doubling. So somebody shared this with me in one of the autistic community groups, and body doubling is the idea that you ask someone else to go with you to do what you need to do. So if you are in the office and you need to go in the kitchen to start cooking, you can ask your partner or your friend, whoever else might be over, hey, will you go in the kitchen with me? And just that act of someone else doing the same action as you, it can give you some momentum to go do the next thing that you know that you need to do. Another great thing to do is engaging in like really big physical stims to get energy out. So especially if you're a late diagnosed adult who's not used to stimming on a regular basis because you've suppressed it forever, if you sit in one place and you're really, really busy and productive, you've got all of this energy, right? Maybe you know what I'm talking about. If I'm in a productive state, like I have this energy that just gets pent up. And so after I'm done with that productive state, that energy has to go somewhere. And it's very uncomfortable if I don't do anything with that energy. Like I stay in that Tasmanian devil tornado, you know? So you can actually move the energy through your body with physical stims. Like even doing this right now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do something because I have a lot of energy right now. So physical stims, you can even get on your tiptoes and like throw the weight of your body. Whoa, just jump around. get all of the energy out. So don't disqualify that until you try it, because it really can be helpful. Like, I already feel some relief from doing that. You might also want to use timers. Somebody said that they use their Alexa to set timers. So if you know that you need to wrap up by 5 to pick your kids up or start dinner, you can have Alexa set a timer. And I recommend having 2 different timers. So there's one that's like a warning that you need to stop in 15 minutes or however long. And then the second one is the final timer. So giving yourself that idea that, oh, okay, I need to start wrapping up, because sometimes that can take me a while to do. Can also be helpful to transition into a sensory friendly environment. So if you're going from this pent up state of energy into something else, give yourself a soft landing. Maybe a room that has a comfortable blanket, low lighting, something that you can do to accommodate yourself and find calm. That might be going for a walk around your neighborhood, just stepping outside in the backyard, on your patio. Some form of sensory environment that feels calm and comfortable to you. Also doing body check-ins. So this is a video, this is worth its own video, because I am noticing, I'm gonna call all of you out, myself included, the autistic community, we get stuck in our brains. And, you know, we're always trying to figure out the next step, figure out socially what's being expected of us. We're trying to figure out patterns. And this is oftentimes at the detriment of our body's feedback. So we become so focused on our brain that we neglect our body's signals. It's very important that we pay attention to our body's cues and take time to listen. Now, if you're new to this, you might try it and say, my body's not telling me anything. Okay, and what that tells me is probably that this is a new practice for you, and there's no judgment there. I just want to say that it can take a lot of time to learn how to listen to your body. So you might notice that your jaw feels clenched. You might notice that your fists are in balls. You might notice that your stomach feels tight, or that you feel really hungry. Any feedback that your body's giving you, if your muscles feel tight, that's all really important information that can help you know what to move into next, whether that be getting a snack, taking a stretch break, you know, stretching your neck. Your body gives you all kinds of important feedback, and it's important just to have check-ins where you get quiet and breathe deeply. And you can even, it sounds cheesy, y'all, but you can even ask your body, like, what are you trying to tell me right now? And, you know, I want to say I promise, but I can't really promise because I don't know you. But I'm really want to encourage you that it's possible to hear your body and start learning how to respond to it. It's a really powerful practice, so I encourage you to try that. Lastly, I just want to follow up, you know, with, y'all can probably guess what I'm going to say if you've been around for a while, but just giving yourself grace to do this imperfectly. You know, as a parent, I think it's really important to have conversations with your kids. Like, there's been plenty of times, you know, when I've been in productive mode, and as a mom who works at home, it's like sometimes it can be hard to find that balance between working and like taking care of things around the house. So I think it's very important to have those conversations with your kids where you can say, hey, I know you needed my attention then. I wish I would have done it differently. I wish I would have stopped what I was doing and really asked a question and made sure I understood what was going on. Just to have those types of conversations where you can be real and you can say, hey, I wish I would have done that differently. You know, I'm working on better understanding my brain. Like with me, my kids are both neurodivergent. So it's good. It's helpful for me to kind of share my processes with them so that they can learn too, kind of the tendencies that their brains have and how to work with them. So those open conversations where you can just talk about what's going on. You don't necessarily have to have a solution. You can just say, this is what happened. I wish I could have done it differently. I'm here now. How can I help you? That type of thing. And just having so much grace and compassion for yourself. Somebody else said this in the comments, like if you zoom out, if you take a much larger approach looking at your life, balance is much more likely to be seen in that, from that viewpoint, right? So if we're looking like right up close, minuscule little snapshot, it might feel like we're totally out of balance. But I really do think that when you move the camera back, zoom out, we do have these little chapters where we find balance in our own way. And so, finding that in our own way, I think, is really important. So just that reminder not to compare yourself to others and what they're accomplishing, but, the world needs you as you are, and nobody else can do the things that you can do. So do them in the way that feels right and good to you. Other than that, there were a whole lot of great tips shared on my community feed on YouTube. So I'll put a link to that in the description. I think there's like 85 comments for other ways that people manage uneven productivity. And that's where the best feedback comes from, honestly, is from the community. So I'll put that link there if you still want some more suggestions or have some helpful stuff that you'd like to share. You can also put them in the comments on this video. So let me know which of these tips stuck out the most to you, like which one you feel like is the most helpful, or maybe you have another tip to add to the conversation. I think that if when we walked around, we could see into everybody's brains and see whether or not people are neurodivergent, I think we'd really be shocked how many people aren't just neurodivergent, but autistic. Like we're everywhere, right? Like there's so many of us. And so just learning to embrace who we are together as a community has been really inspiring and fulfilling. And so I just want to invite you to stay curious about your patterns and why you do the things that you do, and give yourself lots of grace always, right? So I hope this video is helpful to you. And if you want to connect with others, I just thought my microphone was on mute this whole time. Oh my gosh, it's not. If you want to connect to other people in the community, I have community groups that you can find at momonthespectrum.life/community, and those groups run throughout the month. Hopefully I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching, and be kind to yourself. Bye.